Okay, hello. My name is Tony Escovel. This is my final project interview with Chris Gagner from Buffalo Wings and Rings. And basically, the interview was really easy to begin. I've worked with him previously, and pretty much it was more like a casual chat. But it was important that he wanted to remain, professional. If I was going to, use his answers and things that he said with his ideas and stuff like that. So, um, pretty much we sat down in the restaurant and just started talking casually. I kind of wanted to start the interview. I asked him about the White Sox and what the restaurant's doing to prepare for the upcoming season. I guess it was just a way that I thought to kind of break the ice and just relax things a little bit. Yeah, I just started by saying that White Sox season's coming up, and since the restaurant is less than half a mile away, that is a huge, huge part of their business, and all the home fans and visiting fans from wherever else usually frequent the restaurant before, after, and during games. So I asked how he was going to prepare the kitchen for that and prepare his staff for that, and he said that the number one thing is to make sure that they have a full staff, that they know they can rely on them, showing up for work on time and knowing how to make everything, how to prepare the food, how to send it out, all that stuff. And he said he feels pretty confident about it. They have a good group of people down there right now, and it's gonna be busy, but it's usually pretty exciting. So that's gonna be good. A little bit about Buffalo Wings and Rings, just to kind of catch everybody up. It's a relatively unknown company, unknown brand, I guess you could say. A more familiar version of what they have would be Buffalo Wild Wings. Everybody knows what that is, and in comparison, it'd just be like the same exact thing. But there are subtle differences, like food quality and the atmosphere of the overall restaurant and their goals. It's more of a family-style restaurant. They encourage families to show up, as well as a lot of sports fans and everything in between. So it's located on South Halsted in Bridgeport. Across the street would be 35th. And it's been in operation there since 2008, and Chris has been working there since 2009, I believe, just beginning of 2009. So he started out as a line cook and basically worked his way up to kitchen manager and sous chef, and he said he definitely learned a lot in this time working there, and he plans to continue doing what he's doing. And so next with the interview, I wanted to kind of get into how he views his current position working there, how he views being the sous chef, kitchen manager, and if he might have learned anything in that time. And he said it's very serious to him how far he's gotten at this point. It's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of stressful days, nights, working late or showing up early. And he said that when we first started, it was very difficult to deal with how busy the restaurant was. I know from experience myself that when you kind of jump into a high volume restaurant without knowing what you're getting yourself into, you could be easily overwhelmed and stressful. I've seen people, and so has he. He kind of agreed with me on this one. We've both seen people, they'll stick with it for a little while, but once enough food orders come through or it kind of gets crazy, they'll just walk off the line. They can't handle it. So that's probably like one of the more difficult things. And he said that in his early days there, it led to him kind of doing the same thing, walking off the line, getting angry, or just acting unprofessional. And he said that that's kind of the biggest mistakes that he's had, and he really regrets it. Just because it makes him look bad, and it kind of affects how everybody else is working. And he said since then he's had different ways to cope with stress and things like that, and he'll encourage himself or others to take breaks, go outside for a smoke, or get a bite to eat. One of the benefits of working there that he's learned to share with everybody else is that they can have shift meals whenever, as long as everybody else can kind of cover them while they're gone. Next, I told him that making decisions in the kitchen is pretty difficult, and especially when it's not necessarily a popular decision. I asked him how he handles things like that, like unhappy customers or a wrong food order, or the employees kind of not up to speed or just not doing their job. He said if it involves the kitchen directly, he's the first one to make a decision and do what needs to be done. And if anybody has a problem with his decision, he'll go to the general manager. But that isn't really a big deal either, because the general manager is usually walking around the kitchen or walking around the front of house and can easily be brought over to answer the question themselves. Also, with decision making, Buffalo Wings and Rings, their location, has been participating in certain events like festivals and stuff around Chicago, and he said it's a pretty big deal that he gets to participate in that, because usually he runs the food distribution places over there, so that's a big deal for him. Conflicts can also, conflicts between employees are also kind of a big deal, and especially with, say, one person being angry or upset during a shift, it can kind of spread like crazy, and it affects the mood of everybody else working there. And I asked him how he would deal with that if somebody was having a problem. He said he would pretty much do what we just talked about, either talk to the manager or deal with it himself, and if it's his decision, he will probably, if there's a conflict between two employees, he'd send somebody on break or send them outside for a little bit to relax, and he'd talk to each person individually to kind of figure out what the problem is, and if they broke any rules, or if it was very serious, he'd probably have to do something like a write-up or some other disciplinary action like that, and if the behavior continued, he would obviously have to move on to a couple more write-ups and eventually terminate the employee. But so far, he said he's been lucky and hasn't had to go that far as to fire somebody based on a conflict being there. Communication in a restaurant, something I've learned almost equal to anything else that could be important, is communication, and it's essential. And I asked how he views the importance of that, and he said that first off, communication must happen at all times. If he calls out a food order, he needs to have it repeated back to him, and also any changes that are happening in the kitchen, if they happen to run out of food, or if a certain dish isn't able to be put out on time, he'll talk to the general manager, and they'd be able to talk to the customers and smooth things out. So communication is very important. Also, I asked him about his management style. For me, I really don't know too many different styles besides, being really aggressive or being really laid back. I've worked with both, or different versions of such, but he said that he feels he's a relaxed leader of the kitchen, but when it comes time to be serious and when it's crunch time and the big rushes and stuff like that, he definitely says he needs to step up and make sure everyone's doing their job and listens to what he needs to have done. If there's somebody not respecting that, then obviously he refers them to the general manager, and they can be dealt with in that aspect. But usually with new employees, communication is the most important, because they don't know anything. They have trouble adjusting to a high-volume restaurant. So his way of doing that sort of training and management style would be, he prefers to give them like a grand tour, give them the employee handbook. If they have any questions about it, they can ask him. But he doesn't really go through the handbook from front page to back. He would start them off on the easiest station, and kind of shadow them there, and then throughout the week maybe move them to different spots. He doesn't want to overload them with responsibility, because too much information can kind of lead to trouble. So usually he says once he shadows them for a day or two, he'll just kind of let them do their own thing. They'll figure it out, and it's also in the employee handbook. If they have questions, they can ask him as well. Language barriers also can be a problem, but from my experience and also his, he said that there have been a good number of Spanish-speaking employees that have worked there, and if they know a little English, that's great. There are also bilingual employees that work there that can translate if necessary, but most of the workers understand a lot of English, and it's really easy to work with them. He said the language barrier hasn't been a problem so far. I also, to kind of sum things up at the end, I said, working in a restaurant's kind of one of my favorite things. That's my only job I've ever held in different places, obviously, but there's many positive aspects as well as negative aspects, but I wanted to know if he had any really positive experiences and kind of personal rules that he lived by when working as a kitchen manager and a sous chef. And he said the best nights that he has working there, the most positive nights, were when he has complete control of the kitchen. No matter how busy it gets, all the employees are working hard, everything is made efficiently and quickly, and from open to close, things just run smoothly. They don't run out of any food, don't have any complaints or food sent back. He said those are the biggest times that he feels really, a lot of pride in what he does. And he kind of didn't really know if he had a philosophy, but if he did, he said that it would be when he's running the kitchen, he expects everyone to show up on time and ready to work, ready to go from the beginning of their shift to the end, with a positive attitude. And he said that he's confident in the crew he has now, that everybody seems to be going by that pretty well, and when he hires new employees, he feels that he's a really good when he interviews, and he really can pick out the good quality workers to come in and really help the restaurant. That was pretty much it for the interview, and I thanked him, for taking the time to talk to me, and I took for myself, I took that kind of management style really, I think, helps. It works well with the employees, and it works well with the management, and you don't always have to be well liked, but it's definitely an important part. So when you're running kind of a relaxed, management style, and you really know how to problem solve and communicate, I think that you're really going to go far in what you want to do, and especially in the restaurant industry. I hope I can use that for my future endeavors. Okay.